The doctor is in. Dr. Aaron Studwell, founder and lead researcher of Exo Consulting, and today we're going to take a look at the top 10 cool things about Pluto. The New Horizons mission launched in January 2006 when Pluto was still a planet, but later that year in August, the International Astronomical Union designated it as a dwarf planet. And I think that caught a lot of people off guard. We had all grown up thinking we have 9 planets, so we now have 8 planets and a dwarf planet. And then last week, the space exploration community celebrated the 5-year anniversary of the New Horizons mission flyby of Pluto, and that was on July 14, 2015. So in the 5 years since then, scientists have examined the data, and there's still more data to examine, and literally hundreds of articles have been published. So trying to narrow it down to the top 10 cool things about Pluto is tough, but here we go. Number 10, Pluto follows its heart, and it's a heart of ice called the Tombaugh Regio. Part of the Pluto's heart is actually a 1 million square mile glacier made of frozen nitrogen that is at least 2.5 miles thick, located in what would be the left ventricle. So looking at this picture, the bottom right hand corner, this area, this specific area called Sputnik Planitia, is actually so massive that it contributes to the changes in Pluto's rotation because of the glaciers' gravitational interaction with its moon Charon, one of its 5 moons. So as this heart continues to build ice, Pluto's spin will change as well. So number 9, possibly a water ocean under its surface. And around 4 billion years old, under that icy exterior, Pluto may actually be an old softie. Analysis shows that the tidal pull of Charon may have reoriented Pluto around Sputnik Planitia. But a heavier mass under the heart needs to be factored in to make this really work. So it may actually be a water ocean. This would indeed be a rarity in our solar system, with only Enceladus and Titan around Saturn, Europa, which is one of Jupiter's 79 moons around Jupiter, and then also Earth having the only water oceans in the solar system, and those 3 moons actually have it underneath their crust. Number 8, that water may actually still be water. When water freezes here on Earth, its volume grows because the water molecules become crystals. But if that water is cold enough and the pressure is high enough, like it is on the interior of Pluto, at 200 miles beneath the surface, it would be that the crystals end up being smaller, causing things to contract. So if we look at this picture here, we see these cracks across the image. So that contraction of the water ice underneath may have actually caused that contraction in the surface. Even better, if there is water deep within Pluto, this could mean there are water on other objects in the solar system we don't even know yet. So it gives us a chance to have even more habitable planets to explore right in our own backyard. Number 7, volcanoes on Pluto. This dwarf planet shows evidence that in its past, and possibly even now, what is called cryovolcanism may have occurred. So cryo meaning cold and volcanism meaning volcano. These volcanoes are different than the ones here on Earth because instead of molten lava, we have a cold, slushy ammonia mix possibly being shot out with organic molecules, which is the key to life as we know it. So this picture here shows the central pits on these volcanoes, Wright Mons and Picard Mons, which may have been the mouth of these volcanoes. Number 6, glaciers on Pluto. Sure, why not? We're talking about cool things. On Pluto, those glaciers are actually made of nitrogen ice. Nitrogen on Earth freezes at minus 346 degrees Fahrenheit, but because of the low pressures on Pluto, the nitrogen sublimates, which means it goes straight from ice to a gas state, so just straight nitrogen gas. Under the higher pressures, under the surface, the nitrogen ice will melt to a liquid phase, but because nitrogen is lighter than its ice form, it rises to the surface, changes to a gas-liquid mixture, and then erupts as a geyser. Number 5, yes, those are cells, but not those kind of cells. While we look like cells looking through a microscope, These cells are at least 6 miles across and are evidence of an internal heat source within Pluto. The deep-dwelling nitrogen ice is warmed by this source, causing it to rise in the middle of these cells, so we see these upward lumps, while the cold edges at the edge sink. So really, they're convective cells, like we have on Earth here with thunderstorms. Number 4, Pluto's heart actually helps it breathe. Every day, every Pluto day, takes about 6.4 Earth days. Tomball Regio sublimates its nitrogen ice to vapor, which then actually provides more of an atmosphere to this dwarf planet than we thought was there before New Horizons' arrival. These nitrogen breezes can actually reach 20 miles an hour as winds eventually reach the night side of the planet, causing the vapor to refreeze. This would have been my number 1 because of my research in planetary atmospheres, but I had to put it at 4 because it does explain 3. Number 3, what do the Sahara Desert and Pluto have in common? Comparing one of the hottest places on Earth with one of the coldest places in our solar system may be a bit of a stretch, but they do share one thing: dunes. In the cold conditions of Pluto, along with its weak gravity, methane ice crystals at the exact right size where they could be lifted off of Sputnik Planitia, part of the heart, are carried away. As this wind weakens away from the heart, the methane ice drops to the surface where it acts just like sand on Earth, forming a dune. Number 2, size matters. But what does it mean? Pictures of both Pluto and Charon, Pluto's largest moon, show that neither have a lot of small craters. This means that there are fewer small Kuiper Belt objects than originally thought. By having a better understanding of the size range in the Kuiper Belt, it helps scientists understand about the building blocks of our solar system in the early years. Let's finish this off with a big solid number 1. We had alluded to it earlier: Volcanoes on Charon. Now this sounds like the title of a science fiction book, but rather it's the number 1 cool thing found out by the New Horizons mission. On the site of Charon that was imaged, there are 2 very distinct areas: a smooth flat area about the size of California, Vulcan Planitia, and rugged terrain to the north, Ozterra. So we're off to see the wizard. Now, all of these things may have been caused once again by an ancient ocean. Both were believed to have been caused by the freezing and expansion of the ocean in Oz. The expansion forced up the mountains. Further south, the smooth area of Vulcan is believed to have been caused by the cryos lava in its slushy form that froze and made it a smooth surface. So no, Pluto, we never gave up on you. To so many of us, you will always be a planet. That's what we grew up knowing you as. The scientists at NASA and around the world will continue to study the data collected by New Horizons to learn about you, what you can teach us about the early years of our solar system, and what we may find on other planets elsewhere in the universe. So, credit where credit is due on this. This was based on a NASA article, and the link is in the description. If you like this video, give it a like. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. There are links to our social media in the description below, and a link to our website, exoconsulting.net. And if you have any ideas for my next video, let me know in the comments section. I've got one going right now, and we're going to start it right after this. Thank you for tuning in.